Did you feel it too, when their eyes met, as if time stopped for just a moment? There's something about the way Taehyung looks at Jungkook. Something unspoken. A stillness. A hush that seems to fall over the world when their eyes find each other in a crowded room. You don't need words. You barely need movement. Sometimes, silence is louder than any confession. And one night in Tokyo, the silence screamed. It started with a flicker, an ordinary clip taken by a fan outside a hotel. Jungkook steps out of a sleek black van. He's masked, hood drawn, head lowered. Moments later, another figure follows. Taller, broader shoulders, distinct even under a cap and mask.
Taehyung. They don't speak. They don't need to.
Just a glance, shared, brief, but heavy. The kind of glance that makes time slow down, that makes fans freeze their screens and whisper. Did you see that? It was supposed to be just another overseas schedule. Just another trip. But Tokyo felt different that night. Colder. Quieter. As if the city itself was holding its breath. Fans didn't miss it. Within minutes, clips of Jungkook and Taehyung entering the same hotel flooded Twitter and Weverse. Did they come together? Are they staying in the same room? Why were there no other members? Speculation bloomed like wildfire. But this wasn't about gossip. This wasn't about exposing something. It was about wonder. That haunting feeling of being on the edge of something profound, something untold. And then, stories began to surface. A former hotel staff member, who had worked at the Tokyo venue during BTS's visit, recounted her memory on an anonymous forum. No names, no accusations. Just fragments. There were 2 of them, she wrote. They asked for a room far from the others. One of them joked about sharing, and the other just smiled. She didn't mention who. But for fans who knew their voices, their mannerisms, even their laughter, they guessed. And even if it wasn't confirmed, it was enough to spark that quiet ache in the heart. The curiosity. The question, what really happened that night? Earlier that year, during a live stream, Taehyung had laughed about Jungkook eating all his snacks during a trip. I hid them in my bag, he said, but somehow, he always finds them. A light joke. Nothing serious. But it hinted at something deeper, shared space. Familiarity. The kind that comes from more than just being in the same group. The kind that comes from late nights and quiet mornings, shared toothbrushes, and the sound of the others breathing in the dark. I sleep well when Kookie is around. Taehyung once confessed on VLive, eyes distant, almost embarrassed. I don't know why. Maybe it's the silence. And Jungkook? He doesn't speak much. But when he does, it's simple. Hyung is warm, he said during a fan call. Not just physically. I mean, he feels like home. In concert clips, they gravitate toward each other. Not always, but often enough that it feels deliberate. Like magnets in the same field, drawn together by some invisible pull. During the Love Yourself tour, in one particular fan cam, Jungkook stumbles slightly during a dance break. Not dramatically, just a slip. But before any fan can react, Taehyung's hand is already at his back, steadying him. No words, just a touch, just enough. Later that night, when the members were giving their ending ment, Taehyung turned toward Jungkook and said something off mic. Jungkook laughed. A real laugh. The kind that crinkles his nose and lights up his entire face. No one heard what was said, but the expression spoke louder than any audio ever could. But back to Tokyo. The hallway was quiet. The camera that caught them had been shaky, a fan barely able to contain her excitement. Jungkook entered first, followed by Taehyung. Neither looked back. Neither waved. That's what made it strange. They always wave. At the very least, they usually nod to acknowledge fans. But that night, they disappeared behind the glass doors like ghosts. Like they didn't want to be seen. Maybe they were tired, some fans offered. Or maybe they just wanted privacy, others replied. A few months later, during an interview, the boys were asked about their most memorable trip as a group. Taehyung looked at Jungkook, just for a second. A flicker. Then he smiled. Tokyo, he said, his voice low. It was quiet there. Peaceful. Jungkook didn't add anything. but his fingers tapped lightly on his knee in a rhythm only Taehyung seemed to recognize. And Taehyung chuckled. Small things. Insignificant if you're not looking. But when you've watched them for as long as ARMY has, you learn to see the invisible threads. That same night in Tokyo, a few fans who had checked into the same hotel swore they heard laughter in the corridor around 2 a.m. soft. Suppressed. Like someone was trying not to wake the world. We couldn't tell who. One fan wrote on a forum, but it sounded like V's laugh. You know the one. Deep, kind of raspy. And sometime later, another fan shared a blurry photo. 2 silhouettes behind a window curtain. Sitting side by side. One had his knees pulled up to his chest. The other leaned his head back. No faces. No names. Just shadows. And yet somehow, every ARMY knew. When BTS later released their behind-the-scenes documentary, a brief clip showed the Tokyo trip. Most of it focused on rehearsals, meals, casual fun. But one particular moment stood out. The camera panned across a table where members were joking around. Taehyung leaned close to Jungkook, whispering something. Jungkook smiled, shook his head, but didn't move away. Then, without prompting, Taehyung casually draped his arm around the younger's shoulders. A second later, the editor cut to another member. But for that 1 second, everything paused. I rewatched that clip 100 times, one fan posted. It felt like something real. Like we weren't supposed to see it. Years of friendship. Years of growing up under a spotlight. And still, there's so much we don't know.
So much they don't say.
But they show. They always show. In a lingering touch. A shared joke. A silence that stretches between them. Not awkward, but full. Full of things that don't need explaining. Maybe that's why fans care so much. Because in a world where everything is curated, marketed, and polished, they still feel real. Later, during a game segment in a variety show, Taehyung was asked which member he'd travel alone with, just the 2 of them. He hesitated, then shrugged. Jungkook, he said with a smile. He doesn't talk much. It's peaceful.
The room laughed.
Jungkook, looking slightly flustered, simply nodded. That was it. No big declarations. No fanfare. Just a truth, hidden in plain sight. And yet, that night in Tokyo still lingers. Not because of any confirmation. Not because of what may or may not have happened behind those doors. But because of the possibility. The intimacy. The simple idea of 2 people, long after the cameras stop rolling, choosing to be near each other. Not out of obligation. Not because they have to, but because they want to. The fandom still talks about it. Not in heated debates or theories, but in quiet whispers. In fan art. In soft edits. In late-night tweets that simply say, I wonder what they talked about in that room. Because that's the beauty of it, isn't it? Not knowing. Just imagining. Whether it was just a shared room between 2 tired friends, or something more layered, more complicated, we may never know. And maybe we don't need to. Because in that brief moment, captured between the grainy pixels of a fan's camera, something felt real. Something honest. 2 silhouettes in the Tokyo night, sharing silence, sharing breath. And that's more than enough. Have you ever noticed, one fan wrote, how quiet they get when they're alone together? In Bon Voyage Season 2, BTS traveled to Jeju Island, a trip that would go down as one of the most intimate, candid snapshots of their lives offstage. While most fans remember the scenic views and the chaotic group adventures, there's one particular scene that, to this day, lingers in the hearts of many. Jungkook and Taehyung cooking side by side in the villa kitchen. No managers. No scripts. Just them. Taehyung chopped vegetables, while Jungkook focused on the meat. Their communication was minimal but synchronized, like watching a dance where every move was anticipated before it was made. You trust him with a knife? Jimin joked off camera. Always. Taehyung replied without looking up. That moment wasn't edited for drama. It wasn't slowed down or set to emotional music. It was simple, but real. And that simplicity made it powerful. Later, while eating on the patio, Taehyung nudged Jungkook and whispered something. Jungkook laughed quietly, his eyes squinting under the warm Jeju sun. No subtitles. No translations. But fans didn't need one. They felt it. Run BTS is known for its chaos, flying water balloons, cardboard obstacle courses, wild punishments, and random impersonations. But buried within the laughter and madness are moments. Fleeting ones. The kind you'd miss if you blinked. Episode 33. A simple mission game. Jungkook has to find the person who secretly received the mission card. Everyone's shouting, running, joking. But when he passes by Taehyung, he slows down. Their eyes lock. Just for a second. No accusations. No big reaction. Just a pause. As if he knew. "I knew it was you, Hyung," Jungkook said later, after the reveal. "You didn't say anything," Taehyung replied. "Didn't have to." Those kinds of exchanges became a pattern. A quiet understanding between two people who, despite the chaos around them, always seemed tuned in to one another. September 1st, Jungkook's birthday. ARMY expected the usual. A live stream, maybe a cake, some chaotic greetings from the members. What they didn't expect was Taehyung showing up, off schedule, unannounced. Jungkook had already started his V Live when the door creaked open. "Hyung?" Jungkook asked, clearly surprised. Taehyung stepped into frame with a tiny smile, holding a plastic bag. "Snacks," he said casually. "I know you forgot to eat." Jungkook's smile softened. What followed was 40 minutes of the two chatting, bickering, laughing, and at one point, quietly singing together. But what struck fans wasn't the banter. It was the way Jungkook looked at him, like someone who hadn't expected anyone to show up, but was quietly glad they did. Later, when Taehyung left, Jungkook lingered at the camera for a second. "He always remembers," he mumbled. "Even when I forget myself." Taehyung doesn't post often, but when he does, it's poetry. One late night in October, he posted a photo. A dark sky, a single star barely visible through the clouds. The caption? "When the night is quiet, I remember the ones who listen without needing words." ARMY was quick to connect the dots. Just the day before, Jungkook had gone live at 2 a.m., talking about his struggles with sleep and feeling overwhelmed with expectations. Some say it was a coincidence. Others know better. During BTS's global tour preparations in 2019, a behind-the-scenes clip surfaced where the members were getting fitted for their outfits. The room was full of stylists, assistants, and cameras. Jungkook sat quietly in the corner, head resting against the mirror. Taehyung entered moments later. Without a word, he walked over and sat beside him, shoulder to shoulder. No fanfare. No camera acknowledgement. Just presence. And then a subtle thing. Taehyung reached over and tapped Jungkook's knee twice. A rhythm. Quiet. Familiar. Jungkook turned, gave the faintest smile, and closed his eyes again. ARMY detectives don't sleep. Especially when it comes to tracking BTS at airports. In 2021, a set of arrival photos from Incheon showed all members returning from New York. But something caught everyone's attention. Jungkook and Taehyung exited last together. And what's more, they had one luggage cart between them. Maybe one of them packed light? One fan offered. Or maybe they packed together, others replied. The speculations weren't just about the suitcase. It was about the way they moved.
Close.
Unhurried, like two people used to traveling as a pair. And then came the video clip. They're walking through the automatic doors. Jungkook leans in, whispers something, and Taehyung laughs, head tilting back slightly, the sound barely caught by the mic. Whatever it wasn't for us to hear. But somehow, it still felt like we did. In an interview during Festa, the members were asked, if you had to be stuck with one member on a deserted island, who would you pick? Taehyung. Jungkook. He knows how to fish. Jungkook, quietly, and Hyung knows how to make fire. They smiled at each other. Briefly.
Softly.
Jin clapped. Jimin teased. Hobi howled with laughter. But fans couldn't stop thinking about it. Because beneath the joke was a truth. They believed in each other's survival. Not just physically, but emotionally. Even in a metaphorical storm, they'd be each other's shelter. People say not everything is meant to be shared with the world. But sometimes the world notices anyway. It notices the glances, the smiles, the ways they gravitate toward each other when no one's watching or when they think no one is. The late-night levs, the sudden trips, the way they mirror each other, speech, gestures, even fashion. They're best friends, some say. They're soulmates, others whisper. They're just them. Most agree. And that's the thing. Whatever label you want to give it, whatever theory you choose to believe, it doesn't change the feeling. That warmth, that ache, that hope that in a now private episode of In the SOOP, the boys each took Polaroids of their time in the woods. Most were playful,
silly,
carefree, but one photo, never aired, only glimpsed in a reflection of a behind-the-scenes camera, showed something else entirely. Jungkook and Taehyung, sitting under the stars. No smiles,
just stillness.
Their heads leaned together, their hands almost touching. A moment so quiet, it shouted louder than any stage performance. And in the caption beneath it, written in Taehyung's handwriting, "Some nights aren't meant to be remembered. They're meant to be felt." So maybe we'll never know what happened that night in Tokyo. Maybe it was just a shared hotel room. Or maybe it was a chapter in a much bigger story, one still being written in silence, shadows, and stolen moments. But whether you're here for the fanfiction, the friendship, or the fantasy, one thing is clear. They make us feel. And sometimes, that's all a story needs. Are they just friends? Is it something more? Or maybe there's something entirely different. Something only they understand.